And today we will continue with PHP, another important lesson for the back-end developer. Okay, aside SQL, PHP is one of the back-end languages. Okay, so officially PHP is defined as a server-side scripting language for web development. In fact, PHP over the years used to be the giant. So far, in fact, is built for web. Okay, I was taught that PHP is built for web, and I've grown up to see that PHP is actually built for web development. So it's a server-side scripting language, meaning it's work on your back end. Okay, unlike JavaScript, there is a client side that runs on the client's end. JavaScript is a server side, okay? It runs behind the scene on the server. And what do you use PHP for? Beyond dynamic web pages, you use PHP. Just like you use JavaScript to build dynamic web pages. If you do not want your web pages to be static, you want some interactions, you want to make it dynamic, not hard-coded content. Do you understand? You use PHP. It is used to build other web applications. Web applications are applications that mostly run on the browser, okay? Their runtime environment is the web, is the browser. These are web applications. Use PHP for content management system, okay? Is a very robust application that can be built with PHP. An example is WordPress. WordPress is a content management system used for building websites and other web applications. Now you can use PHP to build something like WordPress. There are other content management systems built with PHP. Okay, so this is how powerful PHP is. For instance, research has shown that I think up to 40 or 40 something percent of web pages are built with WordPress. So imagine that over 40% of the websites in the world are built with WordPress. And WordPress is a technology, is a content management system built with PHP. This is to tell you how powerful PHP is. Okay, so if you know PHP as a developer, you will have value. You have big value. And in exchange for your skill of knowing PHP comes money, comes, I don't know, other so many things. So you can't use PHP to build, let's say, mobile applications like you would use JavaScript. Okay, so it runs at the server. It's a server-side scripting language. That's that about the introduction to PHP. Just a small introduction. If you want to know more about PHP, you can search the official website. You can search PHP official website. Just search PHP, and php.net is the official website for PHP. So this should be your first reference with regards to anything you will learn in PHP. Are we together? Yep. Anything at all you want to learn in PHP. If you want first-hand information, just come and search here. Okay. Create an array chunk, array column, variables, classes, just about anything. It gives you, in fact, a history of what an array is, how you can apply it to the various versions of PHP. Current version of PHP is PHP 8. Okay. So it tells you how to declare all this. And we'll look into this in a short time. So that's that about the short introduction of PHP. So do not forget to, on your own, search for what is PHP. It's just simple. What is PHP? You know, I keep emphasizing using the internet to your advantage at very point in time because you will be doing this. You'll be doing this a lot of times. So this is the first manual about PHP. PHP telling you about itself. And then you have other wonderful people talk about PHP. Okay. So you might want to know more about PHP yourself. So just tell you. So you can see it's suited for web development and can be embedded into HTML. So let's proceed. What's on our list again? Okay. So we'll still use this table of contents to go through the PHP class. When you know all these concepts, it applies to all programming languages. But we have an outline we'll follow here. Where is this? Okay, so setting up PHP. So you can install PHP on your web server. Okay. Remember in our last class, I said we should all download XAMPP. And XAMPP is Apache. XAMPP has Apache rather. So you need, I hope you all have XAMPP installed. Okay. You have to set up your environment to work with PHP, have XAMPP installed. Remember for JavaScript, we say we should have our Node.js installed, okay? So this is XAMPP, this is XAMPP, just search for XAMPP. Okay, by apachefriends.org. They have XAMPP, install for your system. Okay, there are other tools and technology, but this is what we'll be using most of the time. Make sure you install it. Then another tool we'll be using, okay, I didn't name, you need a browser. You need a text editor. Just get a browser, Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, and get any text editor or a proper IDE. Okay, so get XAMPP. XAMPP is one. Get it. If it's properly installed, just run a search on your PC, XAMPP, and you see it. Okay, this is one. And then secondly, you need a browser. Okay, we'll be using Chrome here. And third, you need a text editor or an IDE. Okay, so we'll be using VS Code. VS Code, we know the drill now, almost basic to that of JavaScript. Let's have VS Code. You have VS Code installed. You can, let me close this for the class. So I already have a folder here. We already have a folder PHP, and inside this PHP is this outline we are using. Okay, this is the outline, this particular one. That's what I have in the folder. For today's class, we can proceed directly. I don't have to put it inside the XAMPP, okay? Because I won't be working with databases for now. I don't need a server to connect to my backend, okay? I'm just talking about PHP. So I'll have it here. Just open it with your text editor or your IDE. I'll be using Visual Studio Code, okay? So like I said, this is just that thing, the outline we've been using. This is the only thing I have here. So this is how you set up and you create your first PHP file with a dot extension. Are we together? So let's go ahead to create our first PHP file, index with a dot extension, dot PHP extension. Very simple. This is your first PHP file. Very, very simple. Is it difficult? I see PHP is very simple. So this is how you create PHP files. As part of your setup, know that they end with PHP extension. Okay. If you put JS, it will be a JavaScript file. If you put HTML, it will be HTML file. If you don't put an extension, it will be a text file. Just your notepad txt file. That's what it becomes. So so Yes, please. Okay. All you need to do is your PHP file is just any file. Do you understand? See my screen. You can right click and you want to create a new file. Okay. It's just a text document. Okay. My PHP file. Okay. But just that to properly save this thing to be PHP, it's just a text document. Do you understand? But to properly save it to be a PHP file, eh? Watch very well. My PHP, the extension, just put all so that you can put dots PHP, okay? And then when you save, you have a PHP file. Sorry, see it here. Can you see the difference? This one was just a normal text file I created, but when this is .php, you can see PHP logo on it. VS Code is already saying when you click to open it, to open in VS Code, that's one. If you click to open this, to open in my notepad, because it's just a text file, okay? When you give it an extension, your IDE is likely to recognize it for the language it is and to open it for that language. So this is a folder. I only started with the folder. I opened it normally and I opened it with my VS Code, okay? Or you can start from your VS Code. Let me close everything. You can start from your VS Code. You hit on this file, open a folder. Are we together? Don't open a file, open a folder. Navigate to where you have the folder desktop, and I already have a folder called PHP. You select, and you still have what we have here. Are we together? Okay, so before there was nothing here, but I decided to create my first file. Are you together? Index.php. This is how I created the first file. And you can see it has a PHP logo here, telling you that it's a PHP file. Okay, so this is how you set up for development with PHP. So this is how to run. You can run your PHP files in the browser. Most of the time, this is where you run your files. Okay, you have them uploaded to the server or wherever it will be embedded, wherever it will be stored, and then you use your browser to access them. Okay, so as you would most of the time, index.html, most of the time you are likely, excuse me, please, you are likely to work with HTML files. Okay, you find yourself outputting you find yourself working with PHP inside of HTML. Are we together? Just a moment, please. Okay, as part of setup again, okay, let's use the extension, search for PHP. When you have these extensions installed, it helps with regards to PHP development. Which of them do I use? I can't remember. I think I use this. Okay. It helps you format your code. It helps you detect some little syntax errors while you are developing. So just go through. This is the one most people use anyway. So just go through and get an appropriate one for yourself. Okay. So These are the basic things you need to set up for PHP environment. Get your browser, have XAMPP installed, and have a development environment or a text editor. Okay, how to run your PHP code. Um, First, you begin most of your PHP code with a declaration. Okay, this is how you tell. This is how you tell the browser that this file is PHP. Okay, you would have something like this, and in between here you have your PHP code written. Are we together? Remember that of JavaScript? I say you have to have the in between scripts. Okay. Well, however, if it is already a JavaScript file, you don't need to indicate. You just proceed. But for PHP, most of the time, even in PHP file, this is how you begin your PHP development. You must begin with this opening and closing braces. Okay. So the only and in between here you can have your your PHP statement. Okay. For instance, you can just echo hello. You can echo hello, and this will suffice. This will go through. Now, if you're already working with PHP, you don't you don't need to close it. It's fine. And what's happening? Sorry, you don't need to close that PHP opening tag. You can always leave it closed or opened. Okay. But however, if you would be working with PHP inside of HTML, you must open and close it. Okay. Let me even have a basic boilerplate. Okay. And then let's just say, let's have a heading one that says, let's have a heading one that says welcome. This is a normal basic HTML file, right? So when we try to view this in the browser, this is what we see. So I do not want to use this browser. And let's use this browser. Okay, so this is our normal HTML file, right? Okay, so when you want to access the PHP file, what we'll do is, remember, you will have index.php. Sorry. Oh my God. I have to. Where is our folder? Let me open this with the browser. Sorry, please. Let me get this into XAMPP. Okay. Are we together? If you have XAMPP installed, this is how you access XAMPP. Just open any, navigate to your C drive or the drive XAMPP is installed. You see XAMPP. If you have D drive, you can check. Okay. So depend on the number of drives you have, but I have it installed on my C drive. It's here. Then remember that day I say we'll work with this htdocs folder. And then in between htdocs, you can create a folder that you access. And then for us, I will have, let me just create a folder here. Or let me paste that folder, PHP. Okay. I would like to rename it something. Class. PHP. Okay, so these are PHP class. Now I'm going to view this in the browser. First of all, I'll start my exam. Okay, this is it. And I'll begin with Apache. I'm not working with databases, but we're done. Can close it. We come to the browser. Okay, let me make it big. Come to the browser, you access your local host, just your local host. Okay, if you are new, just hit local host. Say local host to. Okay, anyway, localhost slash this is the name of the folder we have, htdocs. The name of the folder is php class. Are we together? Hello, are we together? Localhost slash php class. Okay, so you have an output. Hello, I want you to see this file directory. We have two index file here. Now this is inside of XAMPP htdocs, inside of your XAMPP, and it picked the PHP file first. Are we together? Because your XAMPP has PHP installed in it. It has MySQL and the other packages it has. Okay, so this is where this is how we'll access whatever file will be working it here. Let me close this and navigate to this. Okay, either you start from here, just right click on it and open with your code, and then we have our browser to the right. So can we see this? So this is how you output in PHP. You use your echo. Okay, this is the primary way you output in PHP. You can use your echo. Let me see my manual. Okay, yes please. Okay, the directory. Okay, I see when you work with PHP, you ensure you have your XAMPP installed. Okay, and inside, I thought we talked about this in our last class. When you have your XAMPP installed, you are sure to be sure that you have XAMPP installed. Search for XAMPP on your PC. Okay, and then you hit it running first. You start these processes. Okay, when they are started, then you access XAMPP on your C drive. XAMPP already has a folder it has created, and I told you you access this htdocs. If you are using XAMPP, it's htdocs. If you are using the other one, is it MAMP or is www 3w? But for XAMPP, it's htdocs. Open this folder and keep your application here. Whatever you want to build, just create a folder for it. Okay, I have my new website, but today's own is PHP class. If you want to build an application called an online shop, create a folder here. Do you understand? Now, when you do this, the name of the folder is what you will use to access on the browser. Okay, so it's supposed to be the name of this folder slash any of this file. Are we together? If it is home.php slash home.php, if it is index.php slash index.php, well, since it's index, you don't need to in the browser. All you need to do is this is the browser. Okay, all you need to do is to do your local host, right? Slash the name of the folder of your project. If you do shop online, this is one folder, okay? And it will open this thing. But if you do our PHP class, right? It will open. If there's nothing in the folder, it will be empty. But now we already have an index. It's supposed to be slash index.php. Okay, this is how it is. You still see this. But since index file is the root entry for every application, even if you do not specify it, the browser will pick it by itself. Do you understand? And attempt to display what is inside. But if we have another file like main.php or home.php, we must type it here in the browser. Even though we'll not see it. But for index, we either will type it or leave it. Okay, the browser will pick it. So are we together? So let's proceed. So this is how you output in the browser for PHP files. While for JavaScript, you inspect and go to the console. Okay, JavaScript is client side, PHP is server side. Okay, let me see our. I'm not even supposed to talk about output now, but let's proceed. Okay, so we have set up and we have run our PHP. This is how you run your PHP. Okay, this is how you run to get your output in the browser. Okay, so you can also have your. Let me see if I can access index.html here. Slash. Let me use another. You know what I want to do? I want to open the HTML file. Index.html. Okay, that has a welcome. Okay, so let me see if I can change something. You save and you refresh the browser. Okay, you have welcome to our PHP class. Now, another way you can output if you are not working with PHP file. Okay, remember I said that most of the time you find yourself working with this PHP inside of your HTML. Okay, so assuming we wanted to output something inside of HTML, one way to do this is to, let's say it's inside a paragraph tab. Okay, you have your PHP. Remember I say when you want to start your PHP files, this is PHP file. You begin with this, right? Good. This is what you do. You begin with this. Okay, you space and also close it. In between here, you can have your PHP. So yeah, I'm coming. Inside the paragraph, this is how I'm coming. How is this thing throwing an error? Anyway, let's proceed, please. I'll try to fix this thing. Okay, sorry, please. Please, let's proceed with this. I'll get that fixed. Don't know why that is happening. Okay. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, as we had with our JavaScript files. We'll begin with comments at the very basic, okay? So we still have single line comments, we have double line comments, just like we had in JavaScript, okay? The single line comment, you want to make a comment about your development, your code at any point in time, you just have it in a single line. It's still the same as we have in JavaScript, okay? Okay, so when we have just 2/ and then you have this is a comment, okay? 2M. Okay, so this is not supposed to be outputted here. So, oh my God. So when you run it, you just still have your hello, okay? Right? Just to show that it's changed. Okay. Yeah, so just single line comments, it doesn't show. And then if you want a double line comment, you have a slash, you have this, and then in between this, you have your multiple lines, okay? You can span this place. This is one line, okay? You have another line. This is another line, okay? Do you understand? So when you have multiple lines, you use your backspace, you use your asterisk, and then asterisk backspace, and you have what you want to have in between this. So this is how you have multiple lines, okay? And if you have a var dom, okay? If you just have a line of code, I don't know. We just have a line of code here. You have another one, okay? And then you want to comment all, just hover over it and use your control plus backspace to highlight a multiple line at the same time, okay? So you want to highlight, you do this. If you want to undo this, you also control and your backspace, it goes out. Let me install one of these PHP extensions so that we'll be able to. Yes, control plus backspace. But just make sure your cursor is blinking on the line. Yeah, sorry, this slash is what I mean, not backspace, slash, please. Sorry, forward slash, not backspace. This is forward slash. Okay. So if you have your cursor blinking, you do control plus forward slash, it will be a comment. Control forward slash, it's uncomment it. You highlight in multiple, control forward slash, the comment, control forward slash. Sorry, not backspace. Forward slash. Let me install one of these PHP extensions. Okay. Okay, so sorry, I want to restart this again. Okay, I just want to have that extension installed so that little syntax errors will be detected. Okay, so this is how you comment on. So this is how you where were we? This is how you comment. This is how you comment. Single line comment, double line comment. Very important, okay? Let's not forget this. Okay, the next one is variable. variable declaration and how to declare variable. Okay, so before I proceed, in PHP takes the general convention of declaring variables. First, you ensure that your variables do not begin with symbols. You ensure that they don't begin with numbers. Okay, and in PHP you use the dollar sign to declare, to begin your variable declaration. Whatever name you want your variable to have, it must start with a dollar sign. Okay, if this is the now this is the first name. Okay, this can be a variable in PHP equal to John. Okay, and in PHP you must end all your line with a semicolon. Okay, this can be a way of declaring your variable in PHP. This is called, you can still have another, you can begin with an underscore. Okay, if you do not want to begin, but you can start with a number. Okay, last name, it doesn't work, it wouldn't work, it detects an error. Are we together? Okay, so you can start with other symbols, but however an underscore is allowed. Okay, you can have an underscore, then you can have your number as much as you want. Please, let's not violate this rule. The only symbol you can have before your name, before your variable, should be the dollar symbol to specify that is a PHP variable. Are we together? For JavaScript, you do not have to use any symbol, but in PHP, you must start your variable with a symbol. Okay, so like with the general convention of writing variables, you can use the snake case, last name. This is a small case, and first name, maybe first underscore name. Okay, equal to, you're not John Doe, Mary Mark. Okay, and then if you do not end, can you see this error here? Yeah, and I think let's see how you save this and then you attempt. You can see it's telling you two errors. It's actually one. If you correct it now, you see it's gone. It's one error, right? But let's leave it so that you see what it looks like in the browser. Okay. So when you attempt to run this, it tell you a syntax error, unexpected end of file in your index line 6. Okay, so when you come to your file, you see line 6 that has the error tagged, but actually the error is on line 5. Okay, so when you correct this, you save and then you refresh again. It's gone. Okay. Though we're not putting anything, but the error is gone. So this is another way of writing your variables in PHP. You can also use the camel case. Okay, so this is Pascal case, this is a snake case, and then we have the camel case, dollar, and then it's something like date of birth. Okay, you can have date and O of birth, right? So with each of the first letter of the word capitalized. Okay, and you have it 27th of April 05 1923. You end it. So these are the various ways of writing. Okay, so to keep to better way of writing your codes, ensure that you use these first two. Okay, be consistent with how you write your codes. Back then, some people back then people used to say that in PHP, this is how you write your variables. Okay, but actually this is how PHP has chosen to write its own variables, PHP itself. Okay, so most developers want to keep to this. If you search for for PHP, the search PHP manual, you'll notice that it has a way of writing in that manner. Can you see the print R and okay? So, but however, please stick to a convention and get used to it. But for this, mostly should be when you write classes. So this is it about variables. So like I said, a variable is a memory location in the computer system that stores whatever value you give it. So if you say this is name equals John, okay? So it simply means a memory location will be created in your machine named John, and it will save whatever value you assign to it. That's simply what a variable is. Okay, so let's check our file. So we talked about variable declaration. You must declare using the dollar symbol. Okay, so I talk about constant. Okay, before we talk about indirect referencing. But just to avoid this, we have constants. So when you want to have variables whose value should not change, because if you come and say your dollar name here should equal Mary, you end it and you try to print you try to print this. Okay, let's print the Mary, sorry, the name we just wrote to the console, to the browser. Okay, so this is what we have. When you do this, you have Mary, whereas we assigned John, right? Now at any point in time, you change this to Michael and you save. The last value that you assign to it is what gets displayed. So what this is that there's already a memory location when you declare, do you understand? When you declare a variable like this, there's a memory location saved with the name, okay? And then when you assign a value here, Mary goes to be saved in this memory location called name. When you come to do another reassignment, Mary, here we have Mary, but it will be over. Michael will come and overwrite Mary. That's what happens. Now, when you want to have these special variables that you do not want to change their value, you have to use constant, okay? And in PHP, there are two ways of defining a constant. Use define, okay? Define most of the time. And in between, you will have the name of the variable inside this single quote or double quotes, okay? Comma, and the value you want. Let's, okay? So this is how you define a constant in PHP. Let's say we want to have something like the name of our application that will not change all through. Or let's say we want to have the value of pi, okay? This is pi, right? In maths, they say is equal to 3.14, like that, 27 or 37. Now, if you do this, the computer system sees this as a variable. You can override this later on, okay? Because you want to use pi for the value that it is every time. All you need to do is to come here. This name here, you impute it here. The first part of define, okay? It becomes pi. Another, this is how to spell pi. Okay. Another important thing is your constant definition should be in capital letters. Are we together? And then you put the value here, 3.14. This is how to define in PHP. There's another way to define constant in PHP. You can use the cons word. I think it suffice. Okay, I think it's suffice. We have our app underscore URL. Okay, is equal to a string. Let's just say our app URL is www.classes.com. Okay, let's just say this is our URL. Does this work? Yeah, I think this should be a way of outputting. But anyway, this is the primary way of. Let me comment this. I'll try to check this out. Okay, so that when you want to print, am I having an error here? Yeah, and then let me say more things with this self. Let me say more about your constant definition. They are case insensitive. Okay, they most of the time they have to be in capital letters so that you don't run into issues. Let your constant name be in capital letters. Then don't include symbols in them. We will not understand this until we practically come to use this, but these are little. There are so many things about constant and variable declaration that if you get right from the beginning, okay, it makes it easy. Let me run it. How to declare variables in PHP. Okay, you have this. Enter. You have more. Do you understand? This is PHP official manual. Okay, I just want to run through the other do's and don'ts. Okay, these are the do's and don'ts. Okay, like we said, you define a variable constant. Just use the keyword define. Okay, this is the name of that constant, and then you have its value by the right hand side. Okay, did you see this? It's invalid because we have a number. Okay, now when you go through this, there are a lot of do's and don'ts definition. Okay, this is correct, this is correct. Okay, you can have the minimum value, you can have a maximum value. Are we seeing this? Okay, and is right. Okay, I wanted to talk about this using the const word. Okay, right works both inside and outside of a of Johnson, but my crowd my I don't know, I think it's this extension is already flagging this off. Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, so you can use the const word. Okay, so whichever works for you. I think this is a bit complex, but you can remember this, it's fine. So just make sure you follow these simple rules. Okay, this is wrong. Well, I don't know why is it wrong here. Wrong, work outside of the class. Please, who is that?
Yes, CF.
Okay, so this is how we let me try something so that you understand. You understand that when you have defined a constant called pi here, okay, and you try to assign pi to something else, there will be an issue. If you have defined a constant here, okay, and you try to this is our app URL, okay. So if you try to do our app URL to be something else, I don't know. Let's change it. www.geo.com, okay. Okay, when you save this, there is already an error here, but let's see what the browser. Can you understand? Constant URL already defined in this in line 17, okay? So we have it is already defined, and this is what we gave it, classes.com. So you cannot use another value. Are we together? But if this were to just be a name, okay, just a normal name, we would have been able to override it. So this is very important. Where you use constant in your programming when you work with PHP is when you are defining, let's say, your database credentials, like database host, database key, password, users, okay, your API user keys. Do you understand? These are constant that will not change. Most of the time, you define them at the top, okay. So remember, our variable declaration are always at the top, followed by maybe any functions that you have before your actual code. When you have constant, it's the first at the top, always, okay? And then followed by your variables, followed by, are we together? Yes, sir. Do you understand what we are saying? Okay? So you have your constant declarations here, followed by your variables, okay? Then you can have your functions, that's if you do have functions, okay? And then maybe your actual logic and codes can go here. That's how this line is proper. If you want to do it the other way around, it's still fine, okay? Let's check our next. Okay. Then where am I? Okay, sorry. See, I should talk about outputting properly here. Let's bring this to. I should have even talked about it here from the beginning. How you output. Okay. Let's proceed. Save. So this is how you output in PHP. You will use the echo keyword. Let me have a variable called name, just like we have been doing since hn. Okay, so this is a variable and you want to output, you just have your echo. You echo anything you want. If you want to echo your variable, then you have to repeat the variable here. Okay, when you save, you run, you have John here. Are we together? You can echo anything you want. It can be in a string. You can have JOHN Mark. Okay, when you save this, you refresh, you have John Mark. Okay, another way to print out variables is to use the print keyword. Okay, you can use the print keyword, and in between you have what you want to print. Okay, hello, you end. Okay, so when you run this, sorry, let me comment the first one. When you run this, we have hello. Okay, are we together? And if you want to print out the content of a variable, all you need to do is to have the variable name. Okay, you save, and we have John. Okay, You can use print R to print the variable name. Where is John? Sorry, $John. Okay. You end. Let me comment the first one. When you save, you still have John. Okay, so this is how you print. I think you can do another way. You can var underscore dump. There's another way you print variable, but these are the primary ways you can print your variables. Let me quickly run all the ways we can print our variables. Okay. Okay, we have you have the print word, you have this is big, not this is what I'm trying to look for. Okay, we still have it available in PHP 8. So you can use this to print out. Okay, I wanted to confirm whether it's obsolete. Obsolete or is still working. So why am I having an issue with var_dump? Okay, I understand. Please don't use this extension that I used though. Are we together? PHP. That particular one. This is it. By I don't know for some reason, but it's fine. But just check another extension. Okay, you can check your name here and you save. Where is our browser? Okay, when you refresh, you have this is how you output. Okay, so this gives information about it's just saying it's a string and it has a name John. Okay, it gives a lot of information, but just most of the time you would want to use echo. Are we together? Are we tired already? I'm tired, eh? We're all tired too. That's how programming can be. Okay, don't worry. Let's just run through these stuffs. Okay, we've talked about most of the concept are what we had in the first class. It's just the way of writing PHP is just a little different from JavaScript. Let's talk about the data types. Okay, they are very simple and not difficult. The same thing we have in JavaScript. In fact, the same Java data type we have everywhere. Okay, so we have the first, which we have been using the first already. The string data type. Okay, you do not need to give it any special information that or instruction that this is a string, as long as it's in a double quote, single quote, or backtick. PHP recognizes it as a string. Are we together? So this is the first data type, as we all know. The other one is $sum. Okay, to be just any number 120. Okay, 1000 is okay. This is sum, and if you put sum in the browser, you will see it's saying that it's an integer. Okay, so in PHP, when it just takes your value and it recognizes the data type. Okay, unlike some programming language, I say you have to instruct and say this is an integer. Okay, to tell it before it knows that it's an integer, but PHP recognizes it's an integer. And if it's a floated number, let's say 12.3, and you save it, PHP knows that it has become a floated number. And when you refresh the browser, you see it tells you this is float already, okay? But if most of the time you do not print out like this, except maybe for the purpose of debugging and the rest, you would use the echo or the print or the output to the browser. So this is a strange, this is a floated number, and this is a whole amount equals to 200. So this is a whole number. This is an integer whole number, okay? Now, if you are to bring out an information from the database, you fetch it. If in the database you have instructed that that is an integer, when you want to work with PHP, do you understand? Ensure you work with them as integers, as numbers, okay? If they are wrongly saved in the database, for instance, where the amount figures are saved as varchar, do you understand? What it simply means is when you bring them out of the database, you have something like amount to be something like this. You have amount to be something like this. If you fetch it from a database that is not properly categorized, do you understand? So what you will do is to try to change it. We'll get there. But just know that this is the third data type, the integer and the float. Okay. We have the Boolean, like we all know. The Boolean is just um is is available. Okay. This can be a Boolean of either true, okay, and if you try to dump this and then you refresh,
Not.
Yeah, sorry, please. My microphone. I mistakenly refreshed my browser and started with the mic muted. Okay, sorry, please. Those of us online, sorry, please. Can you kindly refer to where you heard me speak? If you're online, please just indicate.
Immediately you started Boolean. That was when your voice stopped.
Okay, okay, it's okay. Thank you very much. Let me go through it again. Okay, the Boolean type of the primitive data type just stores two values, like I said. Okay, is either you have a Boolean to be true or false, just two states. And this is how you use the Boolean in. You can just have a variable name like is available, I don't know, available, right? To be equal to true. Are we together? And you can have something like is user, okay, to be, let's say, false for a start. Okay, assuming we want to know whether somebody is a user, if he has registered. Okay, before registration you give it a value of false, and if he has practically registered it can be true. And if you var and then you dump this, okay, let's say you dump the is available. Yeah, don't worry, just don't worry. Okay, so if we check this, you see it just tells you this is Boolean true. This is because this value is set to true. If you alternate this to be a false, okay, you save, you run. So basically the Boolean data type is what gives you the opportunity to be able to set to save whatever information you need to be that needs to be saved in just two states, a state of true or false. True to result in a one or yes, and then false to result in a zero or no. Are we together? That's it about the Boolean data types. Because there are times you need to save variables that just needs to be yes or no, true or false. Remember to use the Boolean. Okay, that's for the Boolean. And then for the null, The null simply means empty. Okay, you might want to have just your variable declared, okay, and without any assignment yet. It is a bad practice to just leave them like this, okay. So just assign a null value to them, and this is a data type on its own. Simply means nothing, okay. If you try to view this in a browser, you will see that it's just null, there's nothing, okay. So rather than just having your variable declared without any assignment, please assign a null value to them so that you do not run into issues. If you don't assign, I think a default value of, what's that default value, will be assigned to it, undefined, and that can make you run into issues. Are we together? We are tired. Don't worry. Let's try and reach a landing page. So here we are talking about the non-primitive data types. Okay, we have the arrays and we have the objects, and we're beginning with the arrays. Don't worry. After the arrays, we'll have a pause, and then we'll ask our questions, and then we'll round up the class so that we'll continue in the next class. In the next class, we'll finish what is remaining because we are already approaching the middle of the class. Are we together? It's important that we do not overwhelm ourselves with a lot of things. It's important that we know a little that we have learned. Are we together? Okay, so the arrays, let's just look into arrays. In PHP, this is how you declare an array. You have the variable name for that particular array that usually is in a plural form, because remember, your array is a collection of similar figures. Are we together? So you have an array keyword, opening and closing bracket, and then in between you have your arrays inside single quotes or double quotes. Are we together? And then if it is a number, you don't need to put it in quotations. You have 1, 2, 123, and it works. Okay. So let's say we are keeping the name of 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 animals, and this is a cat, and we can have a dog here. Okay, we can have an ant here. Okay, let this be big. This is too much. This is okay already. And then we have this. Are we together? So it's a collection of similar items anyway. I don't know why there's a number here, 1, 2, 3, but this is possible with arrays. And then when you try to print this, print R, let's do this. And you print this variable, call names. This is what you have on the screen. It's very fine. You see, it says that this is an array that has cats, that has dog, that has ant, and has a number. Okay. Now, when you create arrays, I didn't say that in the last class. When you create an array, there is a key assigned to each of the arrays, and these keys by default are numeric values beginning with 0. This one will have a key of 0. This will have a key of 1. This will have a key of 2. This will have a key of 3. Okay. So this is what this thing is simply saying, that we have an array with the key of 0 holding cats, the key of 1 holding a dog. Okay. Let me see what the normal print says. Okay, sorry, you can't, it is string, so you don't print it that way. There's this thing I'm looking for. Var dump, okay. This thing gives more information about whatever you are trying to take out, okay. So whenever you are trying to debug, you are trying to fix issues, please use this var dump. It gives you plenty information, okay. But if you just want to output, please, it's just simple. Just use the print, use the echo. Yeah, you can use echo here. Sorry, not this echo, echo. Should this one be echo or echo? Okay, anyway, guys, That is, you can use HO to print an array. So for an array, just use the print R or you dump it. That's when you see, if you do this, you run into an issue because arrays are not strings, they are a collection. So you print them in a special way. Okay. So this wouldn't work. Or you can print R or you can dump them. So this is how you declare an array. Another way you can declare an array is to just make it simple. Let's just say these are the names of men in this class, okay? And we want them to be listed in a fancy way. You can just have this, okay? And in between, like we had, you can have your double quote, comma, double quote, comma, and another double quote. And then the name of the first guy is man one, okay? The name of this another guy is Hunt, and the name of the first young man is Mark. And then when you try to see these men, this is what they look like, okay? An array. It still tells you it's an array. You can declare an array this way, okay? Now, when you have a special key for your arrays, you do not like this, let's leave that for next class, okay? Or however, if you do not like these keys and you want a special keys assigned to these arrays, you can practically change the keys by yourself. Okay, our light is off. Okay, we are still on, right? Okay, that's no problem. Okay, let's stop here for today. Okay, so this is how far we have gone. We have been able to go through the introduction. We had a setup. We learned how to run our codes. Are we together? We looked into comments. We looked into outputting. Okay, the primary way of outputting your PHP codes will be in the browser. Remember, it's built for the web. Okay, and then you have your variable. These are how we declare variable in PHP. We use the dollar sign. Don't forget dollar sign, and then you keep to every rule of declaring variables. No use symbols. Do not begin with numbers. Okay, use your pasta case or your snake case or your camel case in few occasions. Okay, we didn't talk about this very well, but remember indirect referencing. Another part to indirect referencing I want you to understand is, remember, indirect referencing is trying to assign a value to an already declared variable, right? To alter, to do away with that, you have constants. That was what we learned, right? And again, in our next class, I will tell you more as to how arrays and objects look like constant, okay? Most of the time when you declare them, you do not want to change the values, okay? And so, and how you assess them is different, okay? So when you talk about indirect referencing, it could be also assessing these non-primitive data types that are supposed to be constant in nature. Are we together? So we went ahead to look at constant and how to define a constant, and this is where we are, okay? So when we come next week, we'll try to go through objects. I do not know whether we need object anyway, but we'll go through objects. We'll finish the arrays we started. We'll go through object. I think this is where we are in the JavaScript class. Okay, no, JavaScript tab, we have seen operators. So we'll go, this is where we'll begin, okay? And then we'll try to finish. So if you have a question, let me know before we round up the class. Let's end the class before 2 o'clock. Okay. Yes. No. Okay, there's a concept I want to show you, okay? In PHP. Okay, double dollar sign. Now watch something, but usually just go with simple rules, okay? So this is a dollar sign of name equals to John, John, okay? And I can say dollar sign name equals to Mark, okay? Let me get the browser on, okay? And then you want to bar dump this thing, dollar name, okay? Now, when you do this, hope you guess what the response is. It gives you mark, okay? If you do not have this, you save, it gives you John, okay? Now, when you do this, when you have a multiple dollar sign, okay, you do not want the value to be overwritten. When you save this, okay, refresh. Did you see we have John? Even though we had a later declaration to be marked. Now, this is to solve indirect referencing. Do you understand? Now, most of the time, because but I don't see a need why you should do this, okay? If you know you want to have a value, you don't want its if you want to have a variable, you don't want its value changing. To avoid this issue of indirect referencing, make it a constant, okay? So your question you ask, this is what happens. You try to disrupt the ability of PHP to override your first variable declaration, okay? But you might want to avoid this most of the time. So any question? So technically in answering your question, you can have another dollar sign for a variable. Yes, usually when you want to echo out, when you want to print, okay, no, print and echo, right? They are the same. It's assuming that you want to print a variable out to the screen, okay? There are different ways of printing out to the screen, but the most recommended way is to echo out. It's more efficient. It's that's what research, but you can try to know the difference between print and echo and how they both behave behind the scene. Okay, echo. Yes, you can ask PHP itself, the giants, the owners. Like I said, anything you want, just echo or print in PHP. Okay. If you read, I want to get a good reference. Okay, do you have any other question? Our online class, do you have a question? Okay. So basically, this is the outline we have used to attend to the JavaScript and the PHP class, okay? And we have decided to make sure we listen to the JavaScript lecture during the first 2 hours of the class, and then the last 2 hours we listen to the PHP lectures, okay? And so far, these are the basic and important concepts in programming, as long as any programming language is concerned. So when you know this for JavaScript, you know it for PHP, it just takes little for you to know it for another language. Let's say C++, C or C sharp. Are we together? So you have an assignment, okay? Learn about objects, the non-primitive data types. This particular one, these two, learn about objects and arrays. Very important. Learn about objects and arrays. Okay, it's a very big topic, but it's very, very simple. But if you do not know what's simple, you don't know it. Is that not true? Okay, it's very big, and then we will not be able to go through it in details. We have arrays, we have multi-dimensional arrays. Do you understand? So let's just learn about them. Let's know how you can output out data in an array. Okay. So if we do not have any other class, if we don't have any other question. Okay, sir. You can write your CSS inside PHP. Okay, we'll get to that. You can write your CSS inside PHP. Let me show you an example to demonstrate that. I hope. Okay, this is your index.php. Okay, let's just say we want to have let me echo a special HTML. Okay, to output in PHP, you use echo, right? And in double quotation, then you end it, right? Now, in between this place, I'm going to do something. Assuming I want to output a H1 header element, I'll just have this H1, okay? I'll close it, and H1, okay? I'll close it, and in between here, I will have this is a header 1 level text, okay? Okay, now, if I save this and where's our browser again? And I refresh, this is H1. And if you view or inspect, you will actually see, where is that distance safe? You will actually see, I'm coming, let me use the other option. If you view source, if you view source, you see the H1, okay? Now imagine I want to give it, now this is your CSS now, right? In it, imagine I want to give it a style, just an inline style, right? Equals, okay, now if you want to do this to avoid issues, this is where you become technical. Watch me. I will replace this in with backtick. I will replace this with backtick. Okay. And then in between, I'll have that so that I don't mess up with my codes. Okay. So when you have this, right, there you might want to add your styles. This is how to write your inline style in CSS, right? This people should teach me. This is it, right? So assuming we want the color of that text to be red, right? This is what we do. And we end it. So when you save this and attempt to refresh this, coming. Anyway, but this is what you do, okay? You try to have good knowledge of your HTML, okay? Why is this style? Is this how to spell style? And this should work. And then what's happening? Color red, okay? Okay. Let me change that. But that's what you do. Afterwards, Okay, let me change it to single quotes. Okay, and then no, don't worry. Okay, so let's try this. Save. Where is our browser? We try to rush. Okay, so this is it. So that's what you're doing. So just ensure that you know how to write your HTML and your CSS. Put them together. Yes, PHP is for the web. Yes, but remember when you do this, it's not only PHP. There is HTML involved. Alone. Yes, but most of the time you wouldn't do this because your application will be complex. You understand? So you cannot imagine writing this whole. Imagine writing this. Imagine writing all these things, all this HTML to be very difficult. Okay, but there are times you need to do dynamic things. Yeah, so you have to do that. Any other question? Okay. Do not have a question, that will be the end for today's class. Please let's come on time next week. Come on time next week, Thursday, for the later part of this class. Okay. So hopefully next week, on Thursday next week, when we finish this class, we'll introduce us to the project we'll be building. Yes. When you finished your front end development, was there any project? No project. People didn't build anything. What did you build? Okay. Okay. Is it a website? Okay. Okay. After the class, do you have yours? Do you have it on your system? Okay, now after the class you show me. Do you understand? So I want to know okay, I will have a look at maybe 2 people's assignment of 3 so that I'll see your ability with regards to the HTML CSS that you have learned. Then I will know the kind of project we will have for the front end. Okay. So that's all. If you don't have